You are listening to the MVP Podcast.
Yeah, Jake, let's talk process. I think that's a good starting point and good tip or good conversation to get into, because I think that's something that has taken me to a different level recently, especially with the using of Wonderwrite. And we might get into talking a little bit of technology here, which is fine. But like for me, back in January, I finally added agency. We added agency Zoom to the structure, to the tech stack. And I don't know if you remember me talking to you, Jake, but agency Zoom, our CRM, was my differentiator on getting information and data and process from one tech to the other. Because you know me, I complained about not having stuff to be able to implement and integrate with an AMS 360 through Vertafore, but agency Zoom allows that to happen and makes that process super easy. So getting agency Zoom structured in my commercial lines pipeline, and I'll be happy to share what my maybe stages are in my pipeline and maybe what's automated, what's not. Same thing with you. But from one click of the button on an intake form or inputting the data one time, and it goes to Wonderwrite, sets them up as a commercial lines profile, puts them AMS 360, and puts them in my commercial new lead pipeline as well. So with just one intake, it goes into the three places that I'd usually previously would have had to put in, or my CSR would put in manually. I don't know what things you have adjusted. I know you guys have had some of that tech for quite some time, but on a fine-tune, I guess coming through it with a fine-tooth comb, what's been a big differentiator for you? Is it more so getting information from one place to another, getting it cool? What part of your process has helped you? Maybe it's not even getting to the point yet where they're inputted in the CRM. What types of things have you done and have you changed?
Yeah, I mean, for us in our agency, I know, like, I don't want to get into the conversation of all the automation, because our agency has a lot of automation implemented, especially on the personal line side. But on the commercial line side, you know, there's only so much you can do, especially when you're in the middle market to large commercial business, just because you're not dealing with 300 people, you're dealing with a select few, and you kind of have to have your own specific way on how you're going about it with that prospect. So in terms of our process, or what my personal pipeline looks like, I try to keep it as simple as I can, but something that we have implemented through Marvin, who's one of our assistants, one of our VEs, who's unbelievable. He's been able to help so much in terms of the information side. So everyone knows when you're going through to get the Accord forms using the awesome product like Wonderwrite, that's the hassle of it all. It's just getting all the Accord forms done, getting all the submission completed and ready to get sent out to underwriting. That's where Marvin's came into play. So what my job has been is, whenever I get the okay and the insurer says, you know what, let's do this, I collect all that information. As soon as I collect that information, I'm shooting it over through agency Zoom. We have a pipeline specifically for collecting that information. I'm dropping it in there. Marvin automatically gets hit. Okay, I got to go through this, and this. And now Wonderwrite, which they just made that update to where you can go through your Accord forms and select the questions you need per Accord. So Marvin's going in there and getting all that completed, which is awesome. So I get notified right away saying, hey Jake, 2 weeks, or let's just say 2 days later, Marvin says, hey Jake, all the Accords are complete. You're ready to send this off to underwriting. So that saves me so much time. And that's been the biggest change recently in our agency. That's helped a lot, just to speed up productivity and go from there.
Sure. So would you say before all of this, you know, Marvin, I guess, coming into play and helping out, how long do you think your commercial lines process used to take upon, yes, I want a quote, let's get this done? How long has it taken you, or are you seeing a time crunch in that? Because I think that's a big thing for me. It was like, okay, you know, I can take it from one place and then go plug it in another place and then type it in another place, but that's time, right? So by me maybe you've not experienced it yet because of the way that your agency is set up, but for me, it was like, oh my gosh, just the basic business information, employees, payroll, whatever it might be, going automatically into Wonderwrite where I can auto pre-fill apps. Like, dude, that saves me an hour and a half every time on a new client, because I don't have to input the data 3 different times. So for me, it's just making sure that the data is correct from one place to another. And so far it has been, especially with how it comes into the process into agency Zoom.
Yeah, and how our agency was, whenever I first started, they did not want they weren't pushing one to right and say, hey, use this, use this. I mean, it was kind of old school in the sense of like, they were telling me I need to learn the process myself all the way through. So, I mean, I was going in and doing it all. I was doing all the forms. I was doing all the submissions all the way through. But as businesses picked up and I've learned that side of the business, that's when we kind of implemented Marvin and started using One to Write, started using Loss Run Pro, and just speeding up the entire process. I mean, when I first started to get we're talking, let's just say $150,000 account, let's say, just getting the loss runs and getting those forms put together, that would sometimes take a week or longer. I mean, now it's to the point where we're receiving the loss runs within 24 hours, almost every single time, or sooner. I mean, I've seen it this past year. This past month, I had one that came in within 2 hours. I mean, just by using the Loss Run Pro. So it's been able to speed up the process there. And then with One to Write, having that system with Marvin saying, okay, here's the questions that we have to have filled out. This is what we need. These are the 6 accords we need. I mean, that's getting done. That's the first thing on his list in the morning, and he's getting those completed. So we've taken a 2-week process down to a 3-day process.
And that's huge. I mean, and guys, we're talking about middle market here. This isn't the $450 to $4,500 bops. But the thing that I'm getting at with this is your process. 90% of it should still be the same, no matter if it's large commercial or if it's small commercial. The thing about small commercial, if you have all this tech stack and whatnot, some of these carriers have quote bind issue API keys that you can get access to get a quote bind issue. A lot of these carriers are getting more of a small business product for $25,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 accounts, so that you can go in as an agent and quote and bind an issue, because there's so much complaints, so much issues inside of the industry of people that hate taking the time to app something up, even for a $1,200 to $2,500 policy, when you can just go right in and be able to quote that immediately and bind the policy. The reason why larger commercial is so important, and I had someone the other day, Jake, that I was discussing my process with, and they said, well, what about if you sent them a link to fill out a form and it answered all those questions for you with their VINs, with this and that? I said, that doesn't work. Why do you think I said that's not going to work? It could for some small business, but for a decent sized commercial account, let's say a lawn care contractor, why is you just sending him a form to make it fill out not ideal? And it's a serious question for you, Jake. There's not really a bad answer. And I'm going to give you my opinion on why I said it was a bad idea. To every time someone wants a quote for a commercial, after they call in, you're sending them a link to fill out a web form. Why do I not like that, do you think?
I think it takes the relationship out of it right there and then. Number one, and then two, I mean, which this is a good thing in a way, but in this case, it sometimes isn't. Whenever you're just trying to build that relationship, is by doing that, you're implementing something they've never really seen before. So it kind of takes them off of their comfort, which that's what we want to do in terms of that. But we want to build a relationship first before we start doing those types of actions. I mean, that's just my initial thought.
No, the relationship is what I was getting at with that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you're in commercial insurance and you're not building a relationship, phone calls, 90% of your clients, you go get in the car and go see them, don't you, Jake?
Yeah.
Because why? The relationship wins in the long run in the game of commercial insurance. The bops and stuff in that nature, you can get away with a little bit more. But the second the lead comes in, whatever it might happen, that same day, I am on the phone with them, gathering that information and or setting up an appointment, same day, setting up an appointment for a couple of days after or whatnot to get and then to do an actual intake and help do that intake with him. For him to or her to feel like they've got that one-on-one communication and one-on-one sit down with their potential or soon-to-be agent is how I would like to look at that. Your chances of percentage of close rate just went up by 25% because people hate going and sitting down with somebody. A lot of these people are getting lazy because of the technology, because of all of this. Don't let the relationship go away, whether you're lazy or not. The relationship's going to make you win. And that's a differentiator in what you do compared to some of your competitors. It's as easy as getting in the car and going and sit down and look what they've got currently with their policies. Right. So for me, don't let the relationship get taken advantage of. Start with the relationship, let them hear your voice, gather the information, then go down the path of the application. But the process starts with the relationship. Am I wrong?
No, I mean, you're spot on.
Let me ask you one more thing, and we'll close this sales tip of the week over. What are you noticing? So we talk about the market, how it is, right? In my opinion, hasn't really been too big of an issue on a personal line standpoint, just because of it has been on personal because of the renewal rates going up and skyrocketing, and it need more attention. With rates the way that they've become, both on a personal and commercial side, right, or replacement cost of buildings and whatnot, what's one thing you're seeing most of your clients that maybe that you win? What's something that they struggle with that seems like you're able to always help with?
Well, the thing, while I was hitting off that, I think we're in our case that we're in right now, where rates are going up. It's the best case scenario for us. The reason is because it allows the agents who actually have some value to provide to win the business, because now we're looking at this, rates are going up. But if we're able to really break down this mod and understand the mod and where it's going, and give them a 3-year projection of saying, okay, hey, let's invest in these risk management services. It's going to cost $10,000 up front, but these services are going to implement this, this, and this, and we're going to start seeing this. And then when I go to underwriting, I'm going to tell them all these things you invested in to make a safer environment. That's where we're really starting to see a lot of value at there. So yeah, rates are going up, but if we're able to provide the value and become the experts on the mod and the work comp where we can actually control it, it's putting us over the edge on so much just by having those extra value points.
And a lot of those comp that you're referring to, because you're leading with comp most of the time, probably all the time, you're not always, you're usually walking into a mess, right? An issue, consistent issues, mod may not be where it should be. Is that, or is it more so you don't know really, or you have a threshold of, if a mod's over this, they're targeted and I'm going to win because I've got these added values?
No, not necessarily. I mean, initially that was the play, just getting started when I first started a few years ago, was looking at the higher mod business because that was where we could provide some value. But then we look at the lower mod. The question is, how do we keep it there? So you look at the high mod, how do we get it down? But yeah, say you're at a low mod, you've been there for 5 years. How do we continue to keep it there? Where's your minimum at? Are we still missing another 20%? Have you been at a 0.8, but your minimum is a 0.6? There's still 20% there that we can try to leverage into and try to find more credit for you. So just because it's a lower mod doesn't mean we're out on it, because then we can implement risk management services that help value what we're doing, and just to make sure the insured understands that they can stay at that level. Let's stay there. Let's not allow ourselves to get to a 1.1 just because you've been under a 1 for 5 to 6 years. Let's not let a bad year come into play.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so that's been the play that I've been focusing a lot on. So trying to find the value on both ends of it, whether it's the high mod, yeah, we have solutions for that. If it's the low mod, how are we going to keep you there? What can we implement to make sure we're going to stay there and potentially get you even lower?
Well, and that makes sense too. You talk about you've been low for 5 years. What's happened in the last 5 years? A lot of people are struggling trying to find employees. Yeah. Right. So maybe their criteria of hiring of an employee had a higher criteria that needed to come into play. But since it was hard for them to maybe find employees, I think a lot of these businesses, I think they'd all be lying to you if they said it's not the truth. Their requirement to hire has lowered a little bit, just because they need workers. They need people to come and work. They need people to come and provide. They may not be the specific professional that they wanted to hire in that position. So in my opinion, hiring people that may not fit that mold of what your business is attaching for or is going after, you as the employer have to understand, my business isn't the same as it was 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. Your risk has gotten higher because the employees that you have hired may have came from somewhere totally completely different. So the training was a little bit different. Training, at the end of the day, it's like you're just because of trying to hire as many employees as you can, that changes your risk big time. Is your training stopped? Or are you just trying to hire people so you can get people out to the job site? Are you actually spending the time to train them? What does that look like? Does that make sense?
Well, the other side of it is there's a lot of times where businesses are just straight lucky. They just haven't had a claim over the past 5 years, and you ask them why they haven't had a claim, they don't have an answer for it. So that's where the value of like, okay, now that you understand that this has been pretty much luck and you've had some really good years, how do we keep you there? What can we implement to make sure you stay here? Because one bad accident, and we're able to use this through a mod analysis, one bad accident and it's not properly prepared for, that could drive you from being at 100,000 up to 140,000. So right there, you just went and saw a 40% increase just because you weren't prepared for it because you've been lucky. So that's where we're really trying to implement the risk management to really justify and help stay there.
I love that. I think that's a great idea, man. Well, I commend you. Keep pushing. I know you got a couple big things in the pipeline. That's strumming up. We're going to be more consistent with this. I think I promised this the first time we did it, but we got busy, and hey, we'll take it. If we're busy, that means it's good things and we're making money. And that's what I want you all to be understanding as well. Be consistent with your activity, be consistent with your daily task. Make sure that your processes match with what you're trying to accomplish. If you're spending way too much time on something, how can I minimize that process, make it better, but also be able to do more business, right? For me in the personal lines world, Jake, you know this, I was capped out on how much personal lines insurance I could physically write in a month, physically as much as I could write with what we had. So making adjustments like purchasing a Canopy Connect or another, a CRM or whatnot, I've now been able to do 2 times the amount of personal lines insurance because I've mastered that original process, implemented new strategy and automation, and now I can do double. That's what we're talking about. Don't get stuck with one process. Consistently analyze your process. Is it working? Is it not working? If it's not working, make adjustments. And I'm going to leave it at this. It's just like technology. If you're going to get technology, you're going to use it. Don't expect it to do everything for you. Don't expect it to do everything for you. And even if it does, guess what? That technology still needs monitored. That technology still needs work. Your process still needs to be updated. Fine tune your process in the next couple of months. That will help you out with the remainder of your year going into Q3 and Q4. Jake, I'll let you have the floor for a second. Anything else you want to pop on before we close it out?
No, man, you hit it. The reminder I'm facing with right now is just staying consistent. That's what I'm reminding myself of, being in the stage of my career right now as a producer. It's just a constant reminder of the importance of staying consistent and doing what I have to do, because there's a lot of a good month and then there's gonna be some down months. So I'm just trying to remind myself is the importance of staying consistent. So you hit that on the head. So just a reminder for myself.
10-4. Well, I appreciate it. Hey, quick reminder too, before we hop off of here, a lot of these are going to be more clipped up videos for you. But don't forget, as always, August 29th, 30th, and 31st, IndyTech Showcase Experience happening in Indianapolis, Indiana, brought to you by Agency Intelligence and our friends from Glovebox and IPFS. With that being said, young agents, if you're 35 and younger and or have been in the industry for 3 years or less, sign up to come to the Indy Sales portion of IndyTech 2023 Showcase. Indy Sales is happening August 29th and Thursday, or 29th and 30th, which would be Wednesday and Thursday. Okay. Thursday, rolling right into IndyTech, the IndyTech Showcase Experience and Technology piece. So they kind of overlap, but day one is all for young agents, 35 and younger, and or less than 3 years experience in this industry. Jake and I will be there. We're going to be putting on a pretty good show. We're going to be diving right into the 101 of sales, processes, tactics, prospecting, whiteboard sessions, breakout groups. Our goal for this is to make sure that you as a producer leave the conference with a solid process, with a solid goal, with solid mentors that can help you go back into the real marketplace when you go back home and kill it. So look forward to seeing you there, IndyTech2023.com. Look forward to partying it hard and getting at it with the boys. So Jake, Mitch Gibson, hope you all have a good rest of the day. Talk soon.